My name is Paige Benyequ, and I was born in Odessa, Texas, which is in West Texas. But I primarily grew up in the San Francisco area in California. My parents did not go to church. They didn't practice a religion, though they grew up in the Baptist church. And my grandmother on my mom's side took me to church, but that was pretty much it. I was never really taken to church or had any background. But I did go to church on my own as a teenager, but then when I turned 16, I decided to quit going. In my mind, what they were talking about, it didn't make sense to me. They kept talking about Jesus, and they never talked about God. And I always, in my childlike mind, as a child, I thought, well, that's sad. They never talk about God. They always talk about Jesus. And they talked about how it's important not to be a hypocrite. And then I would see my friends and other people go and doing things, and then on the weekend they would go to church. And I just thought they were being hypocrites and they weren't being real. And I didn't want to be that way. And I was confused by the religion. There weren't any real answers. So I decided to stop going to church, and then I started looking in other places. You know, as the generations pass, people lose their religion. That happens here even with Muslim immigrants. Muslim immigrants come here and they don't teach their children the religion, and they're not strong about it. And these kids, they lose their religion, and then their next generation, they're not Muslim. I've met several Americans who say, oh, my grandfather was a Muslim. Oh, and he used to talk to me, or he'd say, Salam alaikum. And that's all they know, because their parents didn't teach them Islam, and they don't teach their kids Islam, so now they've lost Islam here in America. I have a college degree. I graduated from the University of Texas at the Permian Basin, which is in Odessa. And I have a degree in mass communications and a minor in speech, public speaking. And I worked in radio and television for like 10 years. But then I decided I wanted to move to Chicago. And it's hard, and here in the United States, if you're in radio and television, working in a small market, to go to a major top 5 market and you don't know anybody, it's difficult to get a job. And I just kind of fell out of it. And I did little projects here and there, but never as strong as I was before. And I also have a certification in teaching and with the state of Texas, and that's what I'm doing now. Well, what I knew about Islam before I became Muslim was not much. I just noticed, like, I would see some women walking around, and, you know, honestly, I thought they looked very ugly with the scarf, and, you know, and I didn't understand. I was very ignorant, and that's about all I knew. And also, because I grew up in the 70s, we heard the big stories were the kidnappings in Iran. That was kind of my introduction to Islam, is maybe, I don't want to say a violent religion, but just, you know, scary. This was like a scary religion. And just like I said, the women look ugly with their hijabs on and things like that, now that I'm wearing one. So that was my own observation. But then I got to know some Muslims. And I learned about the religion through them. And that's when I got interested, because they would tell me things, and it made a lot of sense which Christianity didn't. Yeah, Christianity has a lot of gray areas, and they talk about the Trinity and that Jesus is God, and that never worked in my mind. But then when in Islam I learned that there's only one God, and that you can talk to him directly. You don't have to go through anybody. You know, you don't have to have a priest or the Pope or Jesus or anything like that, you know. But I also like the fact that they still respected Jesus as a prophet. So I just found, really through these other Muslims, that I really liked this religion and I was interested, but I wasn't ready to get into it yet. You know, that was a big change and a big lifestyle change. So for me, that would be a big change. And what would my family think, or what would my friends think? I'm a weirdo. What have I done? Things like that. But I did like the idea of Islam, and I did like the Muslims that I met. I thought they were nice people, and they seemed to have something really good, their lifestyle. So, because I don't have a religion, I'm not religious. I don't want to be Baptist, that's for sure. And I like Islam. Who knows, maybe one day I'll convert. I don't know. And then I started going to a halakha class with this lady, and she would teach converts about Islam. And I hadn't converted yet, but anybody was welcome to come. And one of my big fears growing up was dying. I had an extreme fear of death. I even spent, like in my early 20s, an entire year in a serious depression, because in the United States we call it facing your mortality, meaning you realize you will die one day, and then what's going to happen to you? And I didn't know. And to me that was scary. I thought, I'm just going to go into oblivion. I will cease to exist. And this is terrifying thought. If you don't have anything, it's very terrifying. And so one day I was talking with this lady, and she was teaching the class, and she told a story about Allah I'm just going to put it in my own words. I don't know where it comes from or anything, but Allah was giving jobs out to the angels. So the angel of death, he says, you're going to be the angel of death. And he's like, I don't want to be the angel of death. Everybody's going to hate me. I'm the guy that comes and takes people's lives. So, and God said, don't worry. It'll be okay. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. And he said, no, it's okay, because I will give them reasons. And I don't know why, but that was such a moment that was so clear in my mind that, it's only a reason. When you die, you say, oh, he died. But God gives us a reason. Well, he died of this, he died of that. But then after death, there is something. And that became so clear in my mind, and my heart got like such a relief. And I thought, yes, I want to convert, because I want to believe like that. I want to be part of Islam. And now there's something, because going through life, living, anything goes, and doing things that in your heart, aren't right. You don't know why they're not right, but there's, in Islam, we talk about taqwa, and that connection. And even if you don't have religion, a lot of people know in their hearts, that's not right what you're doing, but to finally make that connection with God and know that there is something after, and that there is someone out there or something that loves and cares about you. That was such a relief in my heart. And that's when I decided, yes, I'm going to convert to Islam. And that's what I did. Again, was that direct connection with God. I don't have to go through anybody. I don't have to go and pray to Jesus to talk to God for me and make things okay. I don't have to go to a priest to pray to God for me to help me in whatever I've done. I can ask God directly. And honestly, when I was in college, and part of my process of searching for something, I studied a lot of philosophy. And our philosophy teacher taught us once that these are the concepts of God, but he said, really, if what God is and should be is omniscient, meaning he knows all, he is all. He doesn't have any associators or any helpers. And so that's the concept that stuck with me. Even before knowing about Islam, it's like, yes, God is one, that's it. There's nothing else. And that's the most important part to me, is that there's only one God, and he's the only one worthy to be worshipped. And again, that whole story I told you about, there's only reasons to death, but it's not the final. Well, the problems we have here in the United States for converts is that there's really no support, hardly at all. No support in that there's a community effort to help converts. You can have good support if you have friends, if you have if you're a woman and you have a supportive husband. But Imam Ivaki, stated a long time ago that over 70% of people that convert to Islam end up leaving Islam, because there's not enough support. And why isn't there enough support? Because there's no one to teach you, and there's no one to befriend you, because a lot of converts lose their whole families. Their families disown them. Their friends disown them. So now you have nobody. So who are you going to go to? And there's no community there to help you. There's no community with their hands open saying, that's okay, come here, we'll teach you the religion. And during the holidays, will, show you what we do, and we'll take you to our house, and you can become part of our family in a way. This is a main problem for converts here in the U.S. Islam as a whole here in the U.S., well, there's a lot of bashing going on just for political gain, in my opinion. In the United States, we've always had a bad guy. In the 1800s, there was the Italians. They were the bad guys. There was the Irish. The Irish people, they used to have a law where if you were Irish, you couldn't marry anybody else. You could only marry another Irish person. The only other type of person that you could marry was an American Indian. That's why you get a lot of mixing with the American Indian people here, especially here in Texas, because there weren't a lot of women out here. But anyway, and then there was the Germans. The Germans are the bad guys, and then there was the Japanese. The Japanese are the bad guys, And then after that, it was Russia. We had a Cold War with Russia forever, and after Russia, now it's Islam is the bad guy, in my opinion. So we've always had to have a bad guy. So now Islam is the bad guy. And anytime there's ever something that's gone on or an attack and it's associated with a Muslim, it's like, look out, that's all Muslims. And that's what we face here. It's just what we call Islamophobia. People are really afraid of Muslims because they're portrayed in the media as violent and scary people. Right. I work at IQA, which is an acronym within an acronym. It's, the Islamic Association of North Texas Quranic Academy. And when I first converted to Islam, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be awesome if I could be a teacher at a Muslim school? So, alhamdulillah, I'm living my dream. And I teach kindergarten. And some people think kindergarten, oh, this is just babysitting and little things. But actually, here in the United States in kindergarten, it's very academic. And this is where they learn how to read. So I feel like it's a privilege and an honor to teach these young children that I taught them how to read, which is one of the most important skills they'll ever learn in their life. So that's why I enjoy it so much, and I take it very seriously. I taught at a Sunday school for Muslim kids. So they go to public school so they don't learn about their religion. And I taught 7th grade boys. And the boys, they're 13 and 14. And I told them, I said, the number one reason why people convert to Islam is because of you. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, how do you act as a Muslim? Most people convert to Islam because of another Muslim. I said, so it's really your role here is to convey a positive image about Islam and yourself. People will change their minds one-on-one. To do a big campaign, it doesn't have as much effect as if I talk to you face to face and you learn about me and I learn about you. This is, to me, the best way to spread Islam or convey Islam in a more positive way here in the United States. It's just one-on-one communication. That's the best way. Or you reach out to your neighbor and they get to know, no, I have Muslim neighbors and they're very nice people. I don't know what you're talking about. They're good people. They always check on me. They're nice. They bring me food. That's how you spread Islam, and that's how you change people's opinion about Islam, is through how you live. And I think even in the Prophet's time, peace be upon him, that's how people converted. They saw how he acted and they said, okay, I'm going to be a Muslim. I want to be like that too. Well, look at Indonesia, the biggest Muslim country in the world. How did it get there? For some people, some immigrants, they learned from other Muslims. It was one-on-one.